Hello, if I could just ask everyone to please take a seat as we're about to begin. And if you could also just make sure that your phones are on silent as well. Thank you. Jasper, just signal me when you're good to go. Okay. All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a big hello to our global viewers who are streaming live via Splash 24/7. I have to say it feels slightly surreal to be stood on stage here today after what has been for many a very challenging year. However, the challenges presented by COVID-19 have highlighted the need for a faster pace of technological change, a faster paced adoption in the maritime industry, and has forced creativity and innovation. Even we have not been spared. We have had to innovate how we present this year's event in order to manage the uncertainty of the situation, and through this we have found opportunities and growth. Because of our new virtual reality, we were able to showcase our startups to international stakeholders at a virtual demo day, and we've also managed to engage this year with regional stakeholders by holding an event this afternoon in Singapore, where Suyin and our partner Ronnie from Heron Advisory are currently based. As they say, as the saying goes, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Suyin and I couldn't do this without the support of all our sponsors and partners who have enabled us to continue on this journey. We built this collaborative platform to unite industries, the government, and the startup community to not only put Hong Kong on the map as an international startup centre for the maritime and logistics industry, but also to showcase innovative solutions that will propel our industry forward. Having government support from the Hong Kong Maritime and Port Board, the HKTDC and Invest Hong Kong has also enabled us to expand our reach globally, and we thank them for their time, support and resources. This year's competition saw over 50 applications from 21 different countries, and it was a very heavy task to conclude a top 5 from the high caliber of entries. I want to give a special thank you to Chris O'Callaghan from HFW Consulting, our enrichment partner, who helped to prep the startups for today's event. This year, we will be showcasing startups covering cybersecurity, crew welfare, safety, regulatory matters, and optimization solutions. You will also get a preview of some additional startups as part of our Spotlight series on decarbonization and procurement solutions. Before we begin, I would just like to invite Mr. Benjamin Wong, Head of Maritime Cluster at Invest Hong Kong, on stage to say a few words. Thank you, Benjamin.
Thank you, Tabitha. I think before I start, actually, I must say that I really appreciate the effort of Tabitha, YSVN, to pull this together, because I think every single one of you have seen so many changes to so many events. This one being physical actually is very, very, very difficult. So I think we should give them a round of applause first. Right now, it will be short because I think there will be a lot of very good pitching waiting to be done here. I think I would like to just mention a few things. That the need for technology, the need for startups, and the need of the people. For IMO, we have the 2021, which is focusing on cyber risk. All the ships, they're always out there in the ocean, very lonely, yet connected by internet, which gives them a chance of being attacked by the ransomware and all sorts of things like that. So I think we've seen cases like that, no matter you're talking about the 2017 mask or just recently CMA CGA. So this is the thing that I think the tech sector should be focusing a lot on. And then on sustainability, I think for that you have all the numbers and the years, right? 2030, 40% reduction on carbon dioxide, 2050, 50% reduction on greenhouse emission gas. And then we have also the Paris Agreement, which we are part of China's effort to achieve that. And then also 2060, China is talking about to be carbon neutral by then. But then I think all the things actually needs to be done. One thing is very important because if you look at the other sectors, say aviation, we are building the 3rd runway at the airport. For that, of course, for that project, we are digging up the mud and stirring up the sea. So it is bad for the environment, but at the same time, they are also building the marine park to mitigate the effect of that, which is visible. Now, for all the efforts on the shipping side, of course, a lot have been done and will be done. However, when people look at the shipping side, very often what they see is black smokes coming out from the vessels, and they don't see the vessels without giving out any black smokes. So this is something that I think which is very important for us to make it visible to the public. So this is something I think we are doing a lot to contribute to the sustainability. So let's make sure that whatever is done is being known to the public. And then, of course, we had the policy address yesterday. Quite a bit has been mentioned, including 100 billion to give to technology development in Hong Kong, and jointly developing the Shenzhen-Hong Kong Innovation and Technology Cooperation Zone. This actually would give us the access into the mainland talent and also giving the mainland access to Hong Kong's international platform. And then, of course, on the people side, very importantly, also a 5-year global STEM professorship scheme, which would be about 2 billion in scale to attract the R&D talent into Hong Kong. So I think all this actually is very important to bring this together. Technology actually is cutting across all industries. I was just talking with Michael, and that although he is originally an aviation person, but then he's also here now. So I think this is actually something which let us know very well that technology startup actually will be contributing a lot to the industry and also to the economy. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Benjamin. Right, now I get to introduce you to this year's captains, who have the heavy task of naming this year's winner. Here today we have industry leaders, investors, and startup experts, and perhaps you could just raise your hands as I introduce you all. So starting with my right, Shah Irani. So Shah is an IT and digital expert with over 18 years of international experience. He was appointed as the CTO of Fleet Management and leads their technology strategy and drives adoption of IT and digital products across one of the largest third-party ship managers in the world. Next to him, we have Matt Treadwell. Matt is Vice President of Lloyd's Register for Hong Kong and Taiwan, and he also has over 17 years of industry experience in Asia, UK, and Norway. Apart from his work with Lloyd's Register, he's also involved in maritime and energy sectors. He supports related companies through collaborative events, provides information on market outlooks, and promotes government initiatives. Next to him, we have Will Fairclough. William joined Wah Kwong as commercial manager in 2008, and in 2016, he was promoted to the board and appointed Chief Commercial Officer before taking on the role of Managing Director for the group's shipowning activities. William is also a co-founder and director of Mandarin Shipping Limited. Next to Will, we have Corinna Berlin. Corinna is a co-founder and CEO of WHub, the largest startup platform and ecosystem accelerator in Hong Kong. She is also co-founder and COO of Angel Hub, which is Hong Kong's first licensed startup investment platform. She's also a member of the HKTDC Belt and Road and Greater Bay Area Committee and was awarded one of the 10 best female entrepreneurs of the world by True Global Ventures. Next to Corinna, we have David Harity. David is Managing Director of Growth Propositions in Commercial Banking and HSBC. He has extensive experience working with clients of all sizes across the UK and Asia, supporting their growth aspirations. In his current role, David is responsible for a number of activities involving acquisitions of cross-border financing activity and driving sustainable financing, among others. And the Greater Bay Area is a current geographical focus for David as well. And last but by no means least, we have Yolanda Yang. Yolanda is an investment director of Radiant Tech Ventures Limited, where she is actively engaged in sourcing, analyzing, and executing investment opportunities in early and growth stage startups, and has accumulated extensive experience in innovation and technology investments in Greater China, North America, and Israel. So you can see we have a very experienced panel of captains today. Just to let you know how the format will run, each pitch will be maximum 5 minutes long, and it will be followed by a strictly timed 10-minute Q&A from the captains. So with that, I will hand over to my partner, Su Yin, who's in Singapore, to introduce our first pitch.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to our attendees, our startups, and everyone watching the live stream of today's event. I didn't think I was going to be emotional dialing in, having been used to Zoom for over a year, but I must say, seeing everyone seated in the Hong Kong Maritime Museum, I am actually quite emotional not being able to be there with you this afternoon. But thankfully, for technology and innovation, I'm still able to participate, as are 5 startups from around the world. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our first startup, Aqua Energetic Group for Digital X7. Digital X7 seeks to reduce more remote incidents aboard ships and to enhance crew safety as a result. But don't hear it from me. I'm going to invite co-founder Captain Arjun Singh now to introduce his product to us.
All right, hold on, the pitch will start in 2 seconds.
In 2007, our co-founder, Captain Sikka, came to know that one of his close friends, a chief officer, lost both his legs during a mooring operation when a rope snapped, and at 800 kilometers per hour, it severed his body. At that instance, injured chief officer's wife and his daughter were on board his ship. Mooring ropes have been an integral part of the ships ever since and will be in future also. So are there risks involved. 58% of human injuries on board ships occur during mooring operations, and 1 in 7 results in fatalities. 53% of such happen in rope handling or parting. In 2018, considering significant accidents and to save lives, OCIMF published 4th edition of Mooring Equipment Guidelines, which implied broadly 2 points for the ship owners and managers that, firstly, we should simply discard each and every rope on board when it reaches 75% of its original strength, and as a result, they may not part unknowingly. Secondly, to record the life cycle history of each and every rope on board. Well, SOLAS followed, and amendments to SOLAS were approved in 2019 for all types of ships over 500 GRT. At least industry was happy, there was a major change, and well, now the ropes may not part unknowingly. Lo and behold, it brought newer set of problems. Following MEG4, most of the ships started recording some mooring related data on Excel sheets and others in recording software given to them by rope manufacturers. The question is, why are we recording this data? How will this data help us in reducing risks? Will it help in knowing the current residual strength of the ropes? Getting to a conclusive residual strength of a rope either takes a destructive test or can be evaluated by close monitoring of rope's life cycle variation, collecting all patterns of its use in every port and then comparing with the tested data samples. In 2019, we got a contract with the ship owner to develop their mooring system management plans, and while our initial discussions with the owners, we mutually decided they should start recording the rope's life cycle data in our software format, which can be utilized later for monitoring and analysis by the office. We would also start building a data set and train our artificial intelligence machine learning model. And Digimore X7 was conceptualized. Digimore X7 software completes the 3 stages of mooring system management as required by OCI MEG4 and additionally is in line with the objectives of TMSA, DBMS and SOLAS. Even in COVID times, within 6 months of our beta launch, we were able to secure 65 vessels from 4 different clients, and we currently have a solid 410 vessels from 6 clients in the negotiation stage of sales pipeline. Companies using our software have received not 1, but 6 best management practices from different oil majors. We are a credible and mission-driven organization with several maritime software solutions in market. With more than 25 maritime clients across the world, our solutions are used by more than 400 ships in a year. One of our software is also approved by renowned class and flag state. Our team has the relevant experience and advisory to achieve our set mission with more than 10 decades of combined experience in the maritime sector and more than 5 decades of combined sailing experience on gas, oil, bulk, car carriers, general cargo and container ships. Additionally, we have 5 years of experience in maritime software solutions and services. Digimore X7 is a must-have solution for the ship owners who are mandatorily collecting mooring data and do not have a system to continuously analyze this collected data for not only complying with the regulatory standards, but also achieving extended service lives for their ropes and reducing mooring-related risks for their seafarers. Digimore X7 provides you with a minimum of 10x return on investment other than supporting your efforts in saving human lives. Now with the actual data being received from ships, we plan to build a unique data set which will be utilized to predict the residual strength of each and every rope on board at any given time. We have chosen our future plans aligned with our mission and are being supported by our customers to achieve them. We are credible and need your support to achieve our mission of making mooring operations safer than ever with reduced costs and increased compliances to the owners and letting seafarers return home safely. At Aqua Energetic Group, we care. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. And Captain Arjun Singh is now here to answer the questions from the judges. Thank you. From the captains. Okay.
Hi there, Captain. So, during your exercise, I see that you've worked for a company previously that has a similar product within the marketplace. What would you say is different about your product compared to those already out there?
Am I audible? I hope I'm audible. So our product has 2 major differences. One, the products which are there in market are given by the rope manufacturers themselves. So
Thanks, Captain. Can you talk a bit about your revenue model and how you monetize this from the clients you've got and the clients in the pipeline?
We are a SaaS company, so we do charge some upfront for setting up the system for them, and then we charge on an annual basis for them.
Sorry, can you just repeat that statement? I missed that last bit.
Yeah, so we charge an upfront from the ship owners for setting up the system for them, and we charge on annual basis. We equate it on annual basis for the duration of the contract.
Okay, and how long is your contracts, and do you have any other plans in the pipeline with the other clients you're talking to about different revenue models?
As of now, we haven't explored any other revenue models. Generally, our contracts are about 5 years because this is a long-term thing. All the ship owners have to compulsorily collect the mooring life cycle data for the whole life of the vessel. So they have to have a solution in place which has to record this data.
Well, actually linked to that, can you also give me a monetary assessment on the value proposition? So you mentioned 10 times X ROI. Can you put that into perspective?
Yes, can I share my screen, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you please allow me to share my screen? Sorry, somehow I'm not able to share my screen. Due to
Jasper,
permission.
can you give permission?
I'll just read out for you. So we have divided the ROI into two parts, wherein the first part is the ropes. So what happens is with the data, we have helped, with the current data also, we have helped our customers that they can extend their discarding criteria of the ropes. For an example, they generally HMP ropes owners have a discard criteria of 8 years. With the data which we use and following the MEG4 guidelines, we have in place our algorithms which can tell us that how long this can be extended for what all ships. So all the parameters which we collect are telling us which ropes are best for which type of ship trading in what areas. And the owners can know which rope to be put in and extend their lives. In our experience, the lives can be extended from 8 years to 10 years easily, going by our data. And that becomes about 5x ROI for the owners. The second part is the residual strength testing of ropes. So all ropes have to be tested on board to know what is their current residual strength. As for MEG4, 75% when it reaches, it has to be discarded. The only way currently to do is to do a laboratory testing, sending the rope to laboratory and doing a lab test to know its residual strength by destructive methods. With using our data, we will cut it to half. So only half of the ropes you will have to send it, and the data will tell you at any given point what is the residual strength of your rope. So before every use, you will know what is the ROI. And also, even with this much of testing, you may not be able to equate tested samples with other ropes on board and other ropes on other vessels also, which can be only done using artificial intelligence algorithms. Besides this ROI, you would also be aware what is the current residual strength of the rope before every use.
It was actually just very quickly, so I see $700 per vessel is the cost. How much money do they save in return?
So in return, for every year extension, they would save about $350 if we equate it to 10 years and 8 year cycle. So $300 is sorry, for every year they save about $2,500 on the ropes, which becomes about 5x ROI. And another for the residual strength.
Thank you. I'm not sure, maybe
They
others
save
want to
half of
ask
the
another
cost.
question. Thank you.
Hi, Captain Arjun. I just wanted to ask more about the model and how you've trained it. So I can see you've got about 60 odd vessels that you said you've got. So I'd like to find out how have you built your model, and where you're saying you're doing they do tests on the residual strength. How reliable is your model against, in terms of predicting against that?
Okay. So we account for more than 20 variables of rope's life cycle, including the trading pattern of the ships, ports, berth variables, how the ropes lead in a berth, their inspection status, their maintenance status, environmental conditions where the ropes are used in, etc., things. The importance of each variable is gauged by our data scientists, and also we have initiated a research in association with some nautical bodies from experienced seafarers on taking the weightage and then applying it to the data. So in our experience with the current data set we have, we are still building it. I think we'll take another 6 or 8 months to build up a larger database to have more value to that database and to predict more. Also, our algorithms are verified. We've completed our cycle of POC, beta launch, and with iterations, we have launched our final product. Regarding the AI dataset, our algorithms also display the predicted accuracy along with the final results. So the algorithms are tuned to check the variations and anomalies in the dataset, and they show the accuracy percentage with the prediction.
Okay, thanks. Just one other follow-up question. Like, how do you capture the data on board the ship? Is this the crew manually entering the data, or do you have an automated method to do that? Because obviously your model is based on what input data you get.
Yes. So we don't use any special hardware as of now. The data is inserted by human input. However, the system is designed in such a way that it detects all irrational inputs and validates before insertion.
Okay, thank you.
Just a quick question here. Then sounds like this is a standalone system. Then how this system work with other like the predictive maintenance system or management system on the vessel?
Yeah, so this is a standalone system, but it is a scalable system. We have built it in such a way that it can be integrated into any maintenance systems, any predictive maintenance systems through our APIs. It's built on a very standard technology stack.
Okay, thank you very much. That is the end of the questioning for this round. Thank you very much, Captain Arjun. And thank you to the captains as well. So I'll just hand back to Su-Yin to introduce our next pitch.
Thank you, Tabitha. As Benjamin mentioned in his opening a short while ago, cybersecurity is a serious issue facing the maritime industry right now. Our second startup this afternoon, CyberOwl, seeks to solve this problem for the maritime industry through their series of products. Representing CyberOwl this afternoon is Dan, joining us from London.
CyberOwl helps fleet operators manage the cyber risks to their vessel systems. And it starts with a very simple concept. You cannot protect what you cannot see. Sounds easy enough. And yet fleet operators really struggle with two basic things. The first is they don't know what assets they have on board. They don't really know how these are connected or networked, exactly which ones are internet facing compared to which ones should be. The second is they don't have a continuous view of what cyber risks those assets and networks face. So perhaps they've done a risk assessment 6 months ago. This is a static view. The reality is things change and we're continuously digitalizing our vessel systems. Human behavior leads to human error, and this is the single biggest cyber risk factor for onboard systems. And it's not really a surprise that fleet operators are struggling with this. Onboard systems have specific challenges. So cyber securing these systems requires a different approach. And so this is why at CyberOwl, we've developed a first of its kind maritime cybersecurity analytics system. This builds on our founding team's extensive experience with protecting complex operational assets from cyber attacks. We have built our proposition in collaboration with UK defence and national security agencies. Our startup is one of a few select ones that have been handpicked for direct technical mentorship by the UK National Cybersecurity Centre, one of the world's leading cybersecurity agencies. Fundamentally, our system provides 3 types of value. The first is continuous, up-to-date, and an accurate view of all the assets you have on board your vessel and how they are connected. This sounds easy, but is incredibly difficult to achieve. The second is continuous cyber risk monitoring. So our system provides you with early warning of a cyber attack, and then it quantifies how urgently you need to take action. And then it follows us up with advice on your next steps in plain English. Finally, our system supports you with compliance. So it gives you continuous proof that your cyber policies, the ones you wrote in the documentation and your safety management systems, were actually implemented, is being maintained, and is working effectively. This is a really simple yet powerful way to help you with your inspection processes for cybersecurity. And we do this by deploying a constellation of sensors on board your vessel. That then does local processing and then selects and streams cyber risk intelligence to your shoreside team. Our system can also provide local warning to the crew in the event of a cyber attack, so that they can take quick action and contain the problem before you experience a loss. And because we've built the system for the maritime world, we can deploy it without the need for an engineer to visit the vessel. It deals with the technical and operational constraints of a maritime environment, so our system automatically deals with satellite blackouts, bandwidth limitations, data constraints. And most importantly, our system automatically identifies human error. These are the back doors that are left open so that you can take action to shut them before any cyber attacker takes a foothold on your vessel systems. And this is why we're trusted by some of the leading fleet operators across Europe and Asia Pacific. Our customers will tell you that our system provides them with a very simple way to gain unparalleled visibility and helps them effectively protect their high-value assets at sea. And this means no successful cyber attack, no interruptions to operations, no losses, and no reputational damage. And this has never been a more important time to improve the cybersecurity of your onboard systems. Just this year, we've experienced 400% increase in cyber attacks, specifically in shipping. But also, the burden for compliance is increasing. By the 1st of January next year, you're going to need to demonstrate a robust cyber risk management system across your fleet. We believe at CyberOwl we can help you manage your cyber risks by helping you know what you have on board, keeping it secure, and then proving that you've secured it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Okay, over to our captains.
And yes, hi, thank you for that. My question is, looking at ships generally, the connectivity on your average cargo ship is obviously pretty minimal, sort of maybe 2 megabytes a second or something, equivalent to what we had maybe in Hong Kong 15 years ago or something. And that is probably set to change in the next 5 years, whenever, as we get sort of universal blanket broadband. And to some extent, are you a little bit early to the party, do you feel? And do you think that the actual cybersecurity risk in regards of the equipment on board, which is in most cases very limited in terms of its connectivity, with shore-based and basically to the internet, is this something that we're just preparing for the future rather than an active threat to specifically machinery on board, which obviously has connectivity capabilities, but is very limited in terms of the reality of that connection due to bandwidth constraints and everything that you just mentioned?
That's a very good question. I would answer the question in 2 ways, really. The first is to say that, unfortunately, it's a myth that cybersecurity or cyber attacks can only propagate via the internet. One of the biggest causes of concern for operational assets actually is someone walking up to that asset, plugging a USB stick in, and transferring attacks or malware onto those systems directly. So it is no longer necessary that the attacks come down the wire, as it were. And increasingly, if you look at the big attacks in operational assets, the Ukrainian power grid, Saudi Aramco's refinery. You know, a lot of these were done, you know, or started via a piece of attack that was proximity based. And so it's not necessarily that the crew are deliberately malicious, it's that they have been compromised in some way along that supply chain. So that's the first thing. The second thing to say is, yes, if you look at the volume and the intensity of the attacks, we're still relatively in its early days. And so a big part of our value proposition relates to getting your house in order so you can prove from a compliance standpoint that your house is in order. You know, cyber attacks are always it's one of these categories where it doesn't really worry people until something happens and something explodes or some safety incident takes place. When that happens is difficult to tell. I'd add a final point. Yes, you know, over half of the fleets that we see still have you know, restricted connectivity, but this is changing relatively quickly from what we're seeing in the landscape. So I suspect with the urge for us to digitalize more, get more data out the vessels, keep our oceans cleaner, keep our voyages shorter or more efficient, that's going to change relatively quickly.
Hey Dan, good presentation. From my perspective, how many ships are you on live at the moment?
So we're on, let me share that number with you privately, because for some of them we've got to actually just get the customer to just okay that.
Okay.
But we're working with 12 fleets at the moment.
Okay.
And they are, they represent, you know, over 500 vessels.
Okay, and so my next question was, what you mentioned in your pitch that you need to deploy equipment on board the ship. Could you talk through what that is and specifically what that does, and obviously who pays for that and how does that work as part of your model?
Okay, let me start with the deployment. So there are three parts to our deployment. The first is the software agents. The second is a network sensor, and the third is a localized processor. Now, assuming the vessel has a hosting capability, we can do virtually all of this by virtual machine and over the air. The only thing we need to deploy is a network sensor, and this is effectively a tiny computer that we ship out with agents. It literally comes with a blue and a purple cable and a very simple set of what we call our IKEA instructions, and the crew can plug that in directly by themselves. Where you've got an older vessel with a more complex architecture, that might be a bit more complicated, but that's the way our deployment works. To your second question around the revenue model or the kind of charging model, what we've actually found is that the vast majority of fleet operators want to make the cybersecurity problem go away, to put it very simply. And what that means is that it's not just a technology buy, but a lot of them tend to also need a helping hand in terms of when the incident takes place, how do we actually solve this problem? So we wrap around a managed service with our technology for the fleet operators that need that comes with it, for the fleet operators that have a very mature security operations center, and there are literally a handful of them around the world. Then we integrate our technology into theirs. But that means that the vast majority of people we work with, even the larger clients that we work with, we just provide a standard charge per month per vessel. And that comes with the technology, all of the maintenance, and the security operations managed service.
Okay, thanks, Dan. One more question, sorry, just to ask quickly. How do you cover the human element part? Because you talk a lot about that. So tell me more about exactly what you do there.
Okay, so one of the key parts of our analytics engine looks at policy. So what this does is we can configure the system up front to say, if you've got a policy that you want to deploy on your vessels, so let's say that policy is you can only use standard issue USB sticks on those machines, as an example, our system can configure for misbehavior. So any form of misconfiguration, bad behavior, insecure behavior that may again be entirely, not malicious. This might just be them trying to find a practical way to get the jobs that they're trying to do done, but it creates some very obvious backdoors and vulnerabilities. So our system detects that and then incorporates that into our risk analytics.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Dan. I have a quick question about the competitive landscape. If you could walk me through that, particularly because you have identified 3 very specific problem statements one by one, and you have solutions out there for each of them. So what is also the advantage of having an integrated solution?
Okay. I will characterize our competitor landscape like this. If you imagine, and sorry, I'm going to use less technical terms here, so I'm sorry if I'm simplifying. If you imagine your vessel as a walled city, then most cybersecurity systems are the wall and the gate. Okay, and so what it does is it tries to stop an attacker from coming in. Invariably, somebody makes it through the gate and starts to create havoc within the city. Think of our system as the internal CCTV of the walled city. So we're looking at every street, we're looking into every building, and then we are correlating the information that we see from that CCTV information to identify threats within the city. So if the attacks make its way past the wall, then we are that line of defense. Now that gives us 2 bits of benefits. The first is we see everything internally, and the second thing is we can then produce metrics related to cyber hygiene for every building within that city and for every street within that city. So to make that real, just this Monday, our system detected a malware that was on a bridge computer. And this malware is widely attributed to a piece of malware that specifically targets power systems. And it has targeted power systems in other countries, shore-based systems. And we could see this piece of malware trying to worm its way across to the vessel's power system. Within seconds, our system detected it. Within minutes, we were able to tell every single customer that had the same system with the same vulnerability so they could take action on it. And that's the power of the CCTV system that we've got. Now, what I mentioned in my presentation was that one of the big challenges that we try to overcome with this is intermittent connectivity and blackouts. The thing with the CCTV system is that if it's not dealing with the connectivity and bandwidth problem, then your CCTV footage is not being streamed back to the control room, and then you lose sight of what's going on. By overcoming that problem, it means that we've taken a system that is very commonly used in enterprise office IT and cloud systems and made it maritime available. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Dan. Sorry, it's Tabitha here. We've run out of time on questions. But thank you very much indeed for your presentation, and thank you again to our captains. All right, so let's get Sian back on the screen, please, as she's going to introduce our 3rd startup for this half of the competition. Sian?
Thank you, Tabitha. If you've been involved in a marine incident before, how many times have you asked yourself, if only I could have, if only you could have evidence from the time the incident occurred to help you understand why it occurred, or if only you could have had a means or method to prevent an incident of human error from occurring on board a ship. Our next startup, Forecastle, seeks to solve this problem by putting eyes on ships. Representing Forecastle this afternoon is Captain Parag Gorawal, who's joining us from Mumbai. Over to you, Captain Gorawal.
Thank God it is not my ship. Are you an owner, manager, or an underwriter who says this every time when you read about an Exxon Valdez or a Wakashio kind of calamity? or go like, oh my God, not again. When you see government agencies imposing millions in fines on your competitors for MARPOL violations, or a $1 billion truck bust. Hi, I'm Captain Parag, CEO at Forecastle Shipping. Through our SaaS product, ForWatch, we aim to help the world's 400,000 ships and 50,000 companies stay clear of both human-induced and machine-related shipboard accidents. Do you know how many such accidents have occurred in just the last decade? Be ready to be amazed. More than 10,000 collisions, allisions, and groundings. Some 4,500 fires and explosions. 1,100 ships declared as total loss. More than $1 billion paid in pollution-related fines. And most depressingly, 2,803 lives were lost in these accidents. As an ex-master mariner for 12 years and a sailor for 25, I understand the enormous difficulties faced by seafarers and managers. Manpower has halved and workload doubled in a matter of 4 decades. You see, just because SOLAS or owner empowers a master with full responsibility, it does not mean he can be a Wonder Woman or a Superman flying everywhere, making sure crew are compliant. You need more eyes to help them. So, what is the solution? ForWatch uses a combination of sophisticated cameras, machine learning, and human operator verification to report status of shipboard operations in real time. What and where? We install 5 to 15 cameras based on our clients' preferred focus areas. On the bridge, where we highlight diligent navigators and then those who risk their colleagues' lives by sleeping or multitasking on their mobile phones when no one is watching. In the engine room, where we monitor signs of MARPOL violations, as also fire hazards by using heat sensing cameras. Oversight of deck spaces for weather and ISPS breaches, such as boats coming alongside without permissions. And that's not all. We are helping clients for weather monitoring to halt crew injuries, to evidence stereo damages, to spotlight overheated cars on car carriers. The observations enable risk profiling and historical lookups, identifying crew training needs and promotion potentials, fleet-wide performance benchmarking, and most importantly, measuring risk in real time and not after the accident. We started Forecastle Shipping in 2018 as a dry bulk freight broking house. 3 months later, we launched ForWatch and have gained 5 clients just by word of mouth. We are scheduled to start our office in Singapore this quarter and are investigating opportunities in the Greater Bay Area. We are the only SaaS product of this kind in the market today and see amazing potential for ForWatch. Most importantly, there has been 0 accident under our watch, with ROI for ForWatch clients ranging from hundreds to thousands depending on their claims records. Friends, both human elements and shipboard risk have been felt across our maritime community for thousands of years. You and I are going to nail it. For as little as $500 per month per vessel, you can save priceless lives at sea and our environment. Indeed, with ForWatch, you can finally be a Wonder Woman or a Superman. Say goodbye to your Russian roulette risk management strategies and say hello, ForWatch.
Thank you so much, Captain Parag. Okay, over to the captains.
Captain, thank you for that very energetic presentation. So just so I can understand, this is not a CCTV system, so you're actually going to be relaying the information back to the shore, is that correct?
It is a combination. Can you hear me clearly, please?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So it is a combination of a CCTV system, which is embedded with our AI system, which relays on our servers on shore and the cloud, and which enters to our ERP system for the client.
So what sort of capabilities, bandwidth capabilities, do you need on the ships in order to presumably 15 cameras is you know, producing a lot of information, information that needs to be sent back. And what sort of bandwidth capabilities do you need, or is optimal for this system to really work?
Thanks for the question. We need maximum 2 Mbps upload and 512 download to run minimum 10 to 15 cameras through our compression software. So 2 Mbps up, 512 is sufficient for us to do this entire exercise.
Thank you very much, Captain, for your presentation. 2 questions. You talk about 3 elements in your solution: proprietary machine learning, the cameras, so we just touched on that, and then the human operator. So first question, what exactly does your proprietary machine learning do? How does it work? And second, where does the human operator component comes into?
All right, very good question. So the first is the proprietary machine learning. What our system does is, because as you know, we are relying on the visual feed, and our AI system analyzes the visual feed, and it gives back to our ERP system when the alarm is raised, and to verify, because AI we have reached now 90% of accuracy. The 10% gap is still there, so we try to blend and have 0 errors by a human verification to confirm, and then it goes to the clients.
Can you just quantify some of the returns for the clients? So maybe some of the clients you've mentioned here that you've already got on board. Just what's been the return on their purchases?
Okay, thanks. So basically the ROI for the clients, it can go up to millions, because each and every accident we try to stop, because as you know, this is a dynamic system, so we don't allow the accident to happen. That's the whole purpose of our ForeWatch, the main program. So the return of investment, if you calculate, on an average, the owners have 1 Hullen machinery claim in 5 years. So by adopting our system, it is reduced to almost 1 incident per 10 years. So return of investment, if you calculate that way, will be almost 50% for the clients.
And can you tell me about just the simple stuff about your cameras? Like, you obviously have to go and install them onto ships. How does the cost get considered? Is that really scalable if you're using lots of cameras? Things like maintenance, service agreements with your clients. How does that work on the hardware side?
All right. On the hardware side, basically we directly supply to the clients with a contract of 5 years for the maintenance on the hardware part. And the cost involved is not more than $5,000. So for them also, it is a service which we provide, and if they are happy, we give them the information of what hardware they need to install, and they can go ahead from their side to have an AMC with their vendor. So we are not as in trying to make money on the hardware side. We are primarily focused to have 0 accidents, so we focus more on the client side on giving them a dynamic feed through our ERP systems.
Thanks.
Hi there, Captain. When it comes to having cameras on board the ship, what's been the feedback from the seafarers?
Okay, very interesting question. So initially when we started this in 2018, so the barrier was the seafarers were a little reluctant by saying, the owners are not trusting us and they are trying to have somebody watch us, monitor us. But then eventually when the captain and the chief engineer started feeling we are trying to help them, not only by highlighting the negatives, but our main focus is to highlight the positives. And we are here for every 2 near miss we will give, we also give feedback of 5 to 6 good feedback. So that helps them to promote helps them to train them better. So when they realize this, the basic thing is the trust when they develop, eventually it was adopted by the seafarers. Now many owners have also put it in the pre-joining checklist before the seafarer join that our workspaces are under surveillance. So the crew doesn't get a shock, and now they also realize that we are trying to help them rather than blame them or negate them.
Okay, thank you. And how do you ensure that the system is continued to be used for its intended purpose and not sort of be used for different means, for example?
Can you please repeat the question?
Yeah.
Different means in...
So how do you ensure that the system is used for its intended purposes? Continued so once you've implemented it, how do you ensure that continuity?
Okay, so the continuity with the client, if you're trying to ask, so we have a contract with the client of minimum 1 year to maybe 2 years, depending on the client and how long he wants to go with that. So that is part of the client side with the extension period, or they want to extend it. Some clients who are reluctant, we also have a 3 months trial period where we give them a very discounted price, and once they start seeing the feedbacks, the violations and the improvement in their feedback, what they give back to the vessel, then the product becomes sticky, and then they can't live without having a feedback which is on dynamic system rather than not based on evidence. So it becomes automatically a long-term contract with the clients.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Captain Paragas. Thanks for the presentation. I guess my question is, who do you see as your competitors in this space?
Very nice and relevant question. At the moment, we are the first mover. So we have the first mover advantage of this system for last 2 years. And our AI has reached 90%, where we don't, or I can say we are not dependent on human verification. So our competitors are actually in-house. Like superintendents have been tasked to monitor the vessels, but it is impossible to monitor or find a violation. The task becomes very monotonous for them. So that system fails. Secondly, one client shops are available who have tried to copy our idea, but they are just focusing on the bridge, where we have reached MARPOL, we have reached ISPS, we are also now making products for commercial managers. So our product is way beyond, and what we have reached, our clients and ourselves have not seen any other product of this kind of AI and ML which have reached this layer today.
Okay, thanks. And I've got one more question, if that's okay. So can you just talk me through a bit more? You mentioned about the ML models, which sounds like the USP of what you provide, right? The unique bit that you guys provide. So can you give me some use cases specifically of what your machine learning does? So just we've got better context around that, please.
Definitely. Thanks for the question. So basically the machine learning or the AI, we started with the client where he had an accident. And in that accident, they found, because of negligence of the bridge team, they were having 36 ships, in fact. And because of that, they approached us to have a system where they can run a navigational campaign on the ships. So we trained our AI, starting with uniform compliance on the bridge. So we have already now 6 million footage for last 2 years, monitoring more than 100 ships. So we trained our AI for watching and learning people who are not wearing uniform, how they look, and who wear uniform, how they look. So like that, the AI was trained with the footage raw. Similarly, in engine room, for MARPOL violation also, we had a similar example. In that case was a magic pipe incident. So where we had to train the AI to monitor oily water separator, sewage treatment plant, what is normal, and if somebody opens or brings a magic pipe or brings a Wilton pump, and when the frame learns that, automatically the system raises an alarm to whoever is wanting to have that information.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Captain Parag. And thanks again to our captains. Thank you. Okay, well, what's up next? We're over halfway through now. You've seen the first of 3 out of 5 of our startups. So we're going to take a quick break now so the judges can discuss the first 3 pitches they've seen so far. But before we let you get up and stretch your legs and grab a cup of tea, we're just going to spotlight 2 startups that are making waves in the decarbonisation sector. So we're going to play you 2 very short videos, which are just for your pleasure, and then we'll be back in about 15 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Max Song, and I'm the founder and CEO of Carbonbase. As many of us know, we are living in a climate crisis. And in response to this big challenge, the maritime shipping industry needs to undergo some serious change. According to the IMO's initial strategy, the shipping industry needs to reduce the total amount of greenhouse gas emissions by at least 50% by 2050, while reducing the average carbon intensity by 40% in the next 10 years and 70% over the next 30 years. We think that this represents an incredible challenge and opportunity, and we want to use the technology tools to help ship owners, charterers, supply chain managers, and finally, end product consumers to manage and reduce their carbon footprint. At Carbonbase, we have a team of talented technologists, data scientists, machine learning experts, blockchain architects, and finally, maritime shipping industry insiders. And we're very pleased to work with some leading companies in the world to help reduce the amount of CO2 in various industries. Here in Hong Kong, we are lucky to help a leading Hong Kong ship owner think through the total amount of CO2 emissions that they have, and also develop technology that can help them analyze, trace, and manage that CO2. We believe that over the next few years, the number of stakeholders who are going to be requesting transparent and comparable performance from the shipping industry is only going to increase, not only for the sake of disclosure and regulation, but also for the sake of financing and investment. From the Poseidon rules to the sustainability linked bonds, we think that there are going to be significant advantages for shipping industry owners who are able to accurately, reliably, and transparently disclose their carbon emission information. And we are here to help each and every one of you go through the necessary decarbonization transition for us to live on a sustainable planet. Thank you very much.
"70% of Earth is covered by oceans and seas. As such, they carry a major part of world trade. Oceans play a central role in the global economy and biodiversity. Increasing efficiency and improving sustainability become major goals for ports and shipping companies. They can leverage on data to achieve these goals. At Sine, we believe in revolutionizing the blue economy. We take on these challenges by developing an all-in-one intuitive and user-friendly tool, Sine Hub. From data gathering to offering actionable insights, Sine Hub helps our users make data-driven decisions.
Sine Hub allows our users to access multiple modules.
Each one lets the user solve key pain points with relevant data and advanced algorithms. It is easy to plug IoT sensors or to add your private data in a secure and dedicated space on the hub. Users can pick the needed modules either to raise the efficiency of their value chain or to reduce their environmental footprint. As an example, imagine a shipping company that has tens of vessels waiting in the port of entrance. This weight would have significant costs in that. By using our estimated time of arrival, also called ETA module, Sine's users can optimize the ports of call, thereby better predict waiting times, thus adjust their travel to reduce the fuel consumption, positively contribute to decarbonization, optimize port resources for planning and safety. In the end, Sine Hub brings the entire industry to a new era thanks to various modules that kill major problems. Our ambition is to be a real game changer in the maritime industry. We love ocean, we love data, we connect both. Where's Sine?
All right, thank you very much, everybody. So we will allow our viewers at home to take a quick break, grab a drink, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes. So thank you very much. And just for, is this on? For everyone in the room, there's tea, coffee, and wine, and snacks if anyone wants to the right. Thank you. Jasper, can I please ask everyone to take your seats because we're going to resume the live feed in a minute's time. Can I please ask the captains to come back and return? Feel free to take your drinks to your chairs. Thank you. Okay, if you could take your seats, please. Jasper, is everyone online on Zoom? Yep. Where's Jasper? Okay. All right. Welcome back, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed the first part of the show. And again, a big well done to all our startups. It's not easy being live and answering questions on the spot, and I think they've all done a great job so far. So I'd like to welcome back my partner, Su-Yin, as she is now going to introduce the fourth pitch for us. So over to Su-Yin. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Tabitha. Hope everyone enjoyed your coffee, tea, or is it wine and cheese? Whichever it is, I hope you enjoyed your break and you're ready to hear more from our startups. How many of you have had sleepless nights worrying about crew change? I'm going to assume that most of you in that room have raised your hands because I can't see you. Well, I certainly have. Our next startup seeks to solve problems associated with crew change, and to explain their product to us is founder Nick Clark. Over to you, Nick.
Growing digitizes crew changes. We help crew managers access actionable insights with their crewing data to understand where they can and cannot do crew changes. On the 23rd of March, I was talking to a company security officer, and we were talking about the Gulf of Guinea. And at the end of the conversation, he mentioned to me that they had an issue with crew changes building up offshore. I had a further conversation with the crew manager at that organization, and he told me that he saw a humanitarian crisis building up before his eyes, but that the dominant narrative was that things were going to be better by April or May. I spoke to my co-founder Rishi about this, and we decided to take a deeper look at what was going on and spoke to as many crew managers as we could over the next 48 hours. We found the problem was universal and that it was not going to go away. The problem was, it was hard to see how we could help. We were an intelligence platform for piracy mitigation for company security officers. And it took a couple of days until we realized that our crew managers suffered from the same problem: information asymmetry. There was too much information about crew changes and what was going on. It changed too often, and it was extremely hard to find the information that you needed at any point in time. So what we did was we plugged these information sources into our platform so a crew manager could plot a route of 5, 10, 15 different ports and see what the crew change requirements were for port state, immigration, and flight availability at any one of those locations. This cut the amount of time that they spent on just gathering information down from hours to just a few minutes. When we dug in a bit deeper to a crew manager's day, we found that they used email, they used crewing software, and they also used something like marine traffic to understand where their vessels were at any one time. But these platforms weren't interoperable. They didn't work with each other, and they were losing huge opportunities to collaborate. And so we decided to implement Flotilla. Flotilla is the only platform that reaches into every single data source that you need to understand where a vessel is, where it's going, who's on board, where the off-signers need to fly home to, and where the on-signers need to fly in from, as well as trying to understand what are the next ports of call coming up, not just in the next couple of days, but in the coming weeks and months. And the way that we did this, we plugged into whatever information we could. We plugged into global distribution systems, we plugged into commercial management software, crew management software, satellite AIS, and even into individual travel management companies for our clients to make sure that the information they saw on the platform was the right information that was specific to them. And this enabled us to do things that had never existed before. We could search within proximity of a vessel and give crew managers options on where they could conduct a crew change by letting them know the kinds of crew that had changed there most recently in terms of nationality and whether they're signing on or off, and giving them a specific proximity, whether it's 60 or 100 nautical miles to their route. The other thing that we did was we calculated the bunker cost in terms of the time for a deviation, and also the bunker cost if you were laden or unladen. So if the commercial team needed to have a discussion with the charterers, that could be done extremely easily as well. And most importantly, we released Semaphore. Semaphore enables crewing managers to send out 1, 5, 50, 100 emails in a matter of seconds. It cuts out a huge amount of email overwhelm. And the reason we did it, to make sure that they can access the correct information at any moment in time and cut hours off their day just spent sending email. And finally, that brings us to November, where we're in a position to understand what's happening with the vessel. We know the crew that need to sign on and off and the airports they need to fly from. We've got a good understanding of the flights. We can see the costs. We can see the availability. We can see the agency impact and whether the agents are delivering or whether they're not doing any crew changes. And we can also see what is the bunker impact going to be on any of these crew changes. And by blending all of this data together, we can create actionable intelligence for our clients, which helps them see not only where's the most efficient place to conduct a crew change from a time perspective, but also from a cost perspective. And that's why we're able to deliver huge ROI. We've modeled that we can deliver $1 worth of return on investment for every 18 cents that someone invests. That's over 500%. And we think we can do better because we know there's more data out there. Right now, we're growing. We started this project just 6 months ago with 2 of us. We recently brought on our 3rd person. We're doing, multiple hundreds of thousands of US dollars annually in revenue already. And we're also plugged into over 1,000 vessels and 22,000 crew. Most importantly, we're going somewhere. Our objective is to digitize fully crew changes by Q3 2021.
Great, thank you so much, Nick. All right, I'll hand over to the captains, please.
Hi, Nick. Hi, Nick. Thanks for the presentation.
Can you just tell me a bit more about the Flotilla platform? So, access to the data sources you've got. Is it defensible? Is it proprietary? What's the cost? These sort of parameters. Thanks.
I think it's not defensible from the perspective that anyone can do it. Anyone can plug these data sources in. But I think from the perspective of are third parties willing to work with you? That's what we found. Is we seem to have found this niche within the industry where we can work with agents, port agents, we can work with travel management companies, and we can work with the clients, and they trust us with their data. And we've tried to take a completely agnostic position where we're not allied with anyone, and we're just trying to serve this single source of information that's a single source of truth for crew changes. And what that comes down to is we're not trying to get involved in the transaction. It's a monthly SaaS fee, people pay us that per vessel, and it doesn't change no matter how many users you've got.
And so there's nobody else currently looking to do this or currently doing this right now as an alternative
right now,
for your clients?
nobody's doing this. The only other option you've got is to get on the phone and spend more time on email.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Just a quick question on the solution again. Is it an easy plug and play, or how much extra development does it take customer by customer?
That's a good question. So at the moment, we plug into proprietary systems, which is a matter of a few weeks or maybe a couple of months. And then we also plug into commercial off-the-shelf software like Compass Cloud, which is a great example, or Visa and IMOS. And so those elements are plug and play. And as we see this become more common, where people are buying off-the-shelf software, we're just becoming that single interface. Plug in your different APIs, have their own software. You know, they have either in-house software that's been built, or they've got third-party software licenses that they use to manage their crew. And I actually spoke to the director of strategy for a top 10 ship manager who said that he had a team of 200 people working on this type of problem, who were unable to iterate as fast as a two-man team to deliver this solution. I think what it comes down to is, we were quick to recognize the problem, to speak to clients to find out what they needed as a solution, and then to, Rishi is an excellent developer, and he just made it happen from a tech perspective.
Yes, Nick, obviously that's the genesis of your company directions. You may want to go in a different direction, but I mean, with respect to things like the flight aggregators that exist that you could plug in directly to sort of, try and generate savings on an ongoing basis for crew travels, and then of course visas, which has become a big issue for identifying, your nationality of your crew, where you want this crew change to happen, and the state of visas and travel restrictions, which I know is obviously changing very quickly at the moment, partly because of the virus situation.
Yeah, that's the question that keeps me awake at night, because what are we in a post-COVID world? Because COVID was the thing that motivated our clients to plug us into their data so we could start generating these benefits. And the things that we're looking at and opportunities that have opened up are things like tax tracking. For offshore clients, they have issues with crew withholding tax from vessels that moved from continental shelf to continental shelf, and they have no effective way of tracking these liabilities. And because we're tracking the crew, the vessel, we know the vessel flag, we know where it is, we're actually able, to do something completely different, and we're working closely with tax teams to implement this. There's also risk for offshore vessels that they become a permanent establishment. If you work on the continental shelf in Singapore for 180 days, you become a permanent establishment and you're liable for corporation tax. In Norway, that time's 30 days. They have to be on top of these liabilities. And then there's a whole host of other kind of things that we're doing. We're digitizing crew contracts into structured data just by building a drag and drop system. So they just drag the contract into our platform, drop it in, and then it's put into the system. And then finally, from a ROI perspective, we're looking and building this solution to, track vessels, look at the port calls that are coming ahead, and then optimize on the basis of what are the flight prices and also what is the agency cost at each individual port, and to have that dynamic cost assessment always running in the background. So if a better option opens up to do a crew change that's taking into account everything, including contract end dates, then that gets actioned. And those are the kinds of opportunities that are coming just from giving us different data that we've not had access to before.
Hi, thanks so much for a fantastic presentation. In terms of the various different stakeholders in one of your slides, what sort of verification checks do you do on those various parties?
Can you define the stakeholders?
So, for example, the
verification?
The various agencies that you would typically use on your platform, and the operators for the various flights, for example?
So at the moment, we don't have any verification, but the thing is that we aren't suggesting other companies to our clients. Our clients come to us, they say, look, we're working with ATPI, we're working with this other company, and we just want to be able to connect with them in a better way. And so, we're not kind of selecting suppliers to then, recommend them. We're just plugging into your suppliers that you already have. I mean, it's funny to say, but essentially we're taking all the data, all the information that you already have, we're refining it, we're turning it into something that enables you to take actionable insights which save you money, and then, we're selling it back to you. And it sounds awful, but that's just the best thing that we've been able to do to, help mitigate this crisis and look ahead at how we provide value.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey Nick, good presentation, thank you. Obviously you've only been going a short period of time. What is your longer term vision? Is it ultimately to be able to play back this data that you've just said you've collected to then basically make better decisions going forward, or what's the kind of area of focus? Because I see lots of areas of kind of things that you're looking at. So just trying to get clear in terms of where do you want to be in a year's time? What does that look like?
I think The dream in a year's time is that we've automated crew changes, and we've kind of taken a huge amount of load off crew managers, as well as delivering cost optimization. I think in the longer term kind of 5-year plan, what we're seeing is there's a requirement for some kind of user interface or user experience that people can work with. You know, you guys are using multiple different software packages, and you know, they don't play well together. And you know, you've kind of got your Marry-app solutions where it's a single ecosystem, you plug into that and you stay within that ecosystem, where you've got things like Compass Cloud, you've got Visa and IMOS, where, you know, a lot of our clients have got all these disparate software packages, but there's no way to get them to play together. And that's the biggest thing that we have done that has really changed things. We've taken all these different data sources and plugged them into a single solution, which, you know, up until the crew change crisis, you know, there wasn't a requirement really to blend these types of data together. But then, you know, faced with the crisis that data could solve, you know, the crewing data had to blend with the commercial data for you to be able to get to a solution. Does that answer your question, Shah?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, thanks, Nick. So I guess, do you see there a risk, though, that if one of these providers, kind of like you said at the beginning there, that they're willing to work with you at the moment, but maybe in the future they decide not to because they want to develop their own platform? Is that a risk that you see going forward, or?
I think for us, you know, that is a risk. And the discussions that I have with these providers is that, you know, we're trying to be agnostic. You know, that is definitely a risk. And by charging a SaaS fee to the client, the owner of the ship, that means that everyone in that value chain, whether you're an ISM manager, a commercial manager, or a crew manager, can use our platform because you're paying that single fee. It means that, you know, we're not competing for their margin. We're not involved in their transaction. We're just a digital way for them to plug into their client. And, you know, the thing is they could build their own software platform for their clients to plug into, but then it's the adoption. You know, are their clients going to adopt another software platform from another provider that now they have to, you know, kind of learn how to use? And that's the problem really that we're seeking to solve. A single UI, a single UX for the maritime industry.
Okay, thank you, Nick.
Nick, just in terms of Greywing as a company, what is your break even in terms of the number of ships or customers? I don't know how it works. You offer a license to each customer that you need to sort of break even offering your current service, and obviously with your anticipated growth in services, presumably personnel, what is the growth trajectory that you need in terms of customers signing up for your software as a service?
I mean, to get to our kind of projected revenue, we don't actually necessarily need any more customers. We just need to build into solving the problems that our existing customers already have, because they've been bringing us all these different types of problems that, you know, we can solve. And, you know, currently I'd say we're break even because, you know, we pay ourselves all the money that we earn. And, you know, we're kind of, the problem we have isn't really with, you know, the financial side of growth. It's more with recruiting. You know, it's only now, you know, 6 months into this that we've just identified a potential hire to be a front-end developer to work with Rishi. And that's the only constraint that we've had on growth, is hiring.
All right, thank you very much, Nick. We're out of time. And thank you to our captains. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are on to our fifth and final pitch of today. So I'll hand back once more to Suyin in Singapore.
All right, thanks again, Tabitha. As a junior maritime lawyer, I had to hone my skills on numerous hundreds, if not thousands, of cargo damage claims. During that time, I kept asking myself, why is it so difficult to find evidence of the quality or the condition of the cargo at loading or during the voyage? Not sure if any of you had to face the same problem. Our next startup, Virtual Control, has a product which claims to be able to solve this problem for us. I'm going to hand over now to Thomas, founder of Virtual Control, to introduce his solution to us.
Good afternoon. My name is Thomas Bispham, and I'm the CEO of Virtual Control. We're adding new dimensions to asset inspection and container tracking. As you can see, what we're able to do is to actually annotate real life, to be able to take containers or assets as they move through supply chains and add new critical data elements to them that are not captured currently by human inspectors and human eyes. We bring the best from big tech to logistics. Between myself, coming from supply chain and logistics, and having a deep background in that industry here in Asia, I combine that with Tam and Florian, my two co-founders, Tam having been based in Asia for the past 11 to 12 years with Oceaneering, delivering new solutions to oil and gas, shipping, and big logistics. Florian himself is the deep brain from Google and Oracle, bringing together the machine learning and computer vision aspects that are so critical to what we do. Sarah from Yext came over from New York 2 years ago to lead our product teams. And with Thomas, as well as several others, we have a phenomenal advisor team who have tons of experience in developing and deploying software solutions that can change and impact industries. So often, containers, assets, everything that we think we're doing seems to be floating in space. Here you have Apollo 13, and even till today, there's still conspiracy theories about what actually went wrong. It wasn't even until they got out of the pod and looked back and took some photos and brought those back to an engineering team in Houston that they were even able to ascertain to some extent what they think went wrong. This photo evidence is core to what we're doing, and it's what we provide at Virtual Control. Virtual inspections as a service. We track the cargo, we track the containers, we track whatever is critical or the information that is vital to a supply chain. We're working with some big partners, but very simply what we're able to do is automate that inspection process and automate that data capture so that it gets to where it needs to go and is provided to the people that need it. In terms of how we plug that all in, well, it's with partners. We're a startup, and we work with some of the biggest companies in the industries that we're working to break into. Currently, we've won several awards with IATA, as well as with K-Line and USEN, all within the past quarter. And we've been working with SFDHL and Cathay Pacific Cargo for over the past year. The solutions we're bringing to market are somewhat varied, but at their core, it's all the same and all has the same impact. Reducing liability, reducing risk, increasing visibility, and increasing transparency. As you can see here, what's happening in modern terminals just across the harbor from where you sit right now, that we are inspecting high-value pharmaceutical and medical devices. Over 1 million have been scanned by Virtual Control today. By scanning that information, far more than what's included in a simple barcode, we're able to inspect damage, tampering, other non-compliance issues that can event from possible tampering or any other harmful misuse. Now that data is so critical to us and to the companies who are shipping those goods. Further, we can then expand that to the containers that house the goods and be able to inspect those containers, again, adding another layer of risk assessment as well as cargo inspection, tracking, as well as insurance claim reduction. As I mentioned, the claims, $475 million US go to ULDs and air cargo containers every year. We can help to reduce that and move that off the balance sheets of the airlines. We can do that in sea freight as well. And we are starting now to look at what projects are kicking off for shipping containers, as well as what we're doing for roll trailers and other assets that go in the shipping and cargo world. We've been approved for 2 POCs with K-Line as well as with USEN Logistics, and our work with SF Express and Cathay Pacific IATA continue. We have a strong funding history, and we are currently raising $1 million US to be applied as a discount to our upcoming Series A. We have phenomenal investors, phenomenal shareholders, and we're very excited to be bringing our solutions to market. As you can see from IATA, with what we are facing as a global pandemic with COVID, these types of solutions, specifically what Virtual Control provides, are going to be so critical in 2021 and beyond. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Thomas. All right, I'll hand over to our captains, please.
Hi there. curiosity, how secure is your platform?
Our platform is extremely secure. We're working with one of the world's largest telecom providers. The foundation of the platform itself is actually built off of a blockchain data platform, wherein everything is encrypted. We have two-factor authentication at point-to-point. By working with a secure telecom provider, we're actually able to secure the entire global network in its entirety.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. What's proprietary about this sort of system? Effectively, sort of cameras in fixed locations, tracking different parts of cargo. What's proprietary about it?
Sure. So specifically, what's proprietary would be the machine learning models, the computer vision. So in other words, the facial recognition for containers or for specific defects, damage, products. Those all have to be trained, and they require a huge amount of data to be able to do that. Those models themselves, the algorithms, are proprietary. On top of that, the blockchain system that I alluded to is also proprietary, and no one else could build what we have in terms of that combination today.
So, and who's doing this right now, and what the companies you're working with, who are they employing to do this, and what methods are they using?
So currently, the companies that we're working with will take our solution on board, and we incorporate that directly into their operation or into the inspection process that currently operates today. So we try not to disrupt as much as possible and just be the third eye or the third person in the room to be able to see what they're doing. We do that easily by using either an app on a smartphone as they're scanning different products or devices, or a fixed camera.
So there's nobody doing what you're doing right now?
Sorry, so there's thousands and thousands of human inspectors around the world. People are having, to use paper, pencil for a lot of the transfer or quality control or inspection process out in the field. Those all happen today. That's how we can move things from one to another. But this is what automates that process. So in a very basic level step, it's digitalization. It's basically removing pen and paper, removing human eyesight, their personal, opinion or how they're feeling that day. That all comes out of that, and it's purely a computer vision element.
So you mentioned that you have this container visual inspection functions, and the containers are in relatively regular shape, and it might be easy to identify the key informations on them. And then how about like those assets? So for example, like those goods that's shipped, and especially when they are in irregular form or they are just stacked on the pallet, so it might not be easy to identify the problems.
So we've been working on those specific problems for the past 2 years, and we've developed the computer vision models to be able to address those issues. So we can remove the pallet from the photo. We can remove all other external, data that's noise in a photo, just to be able to focus on the specific cargo that we're looking at or the container in question.
Thomas, hi. Thanks for the presentation. Just a sort of broader question. Who are your customers really, and what's the model? So it's not the owners of the cargo inside, it's the carriers who are employing you. Is that correct?
That's right. We have two cases that I can point to. One specifically would be the carrier who's using our solution to protect them from risk. The second would be the freight forwarders themselves who work with the shippers. So for instance, working with a big pharmaceutical provider, they're able to use our system to actually be able to demonstrate and prove beyond any doubt that the goods that came into their warehouse or their facility or went on their ship or their plane left in the same condition, and also be able to identify any issues that occur in between that handling point.
And that's currently performed by a physical inspector who would be sort of ticking something off on an iPad or something. And so is the aim that actually this enables you to move sort of beyond any human intervention in this part of the supply chain?
That's correct. And then the ultimate value here is not just that specific transfer point or that specific inspection. It's the richness of that data that we're collecting and the relevance it is to other parties. So we've now made several very strong inroads with insurance brokers who actually are working with the airlines or the shipping or the freight forwarders on their premiums to be able to reduce those, which can range anywhere between 2 to 30 million US per year, depending on the number or the size of the fleet.
Hey Thomas, thanks for the presentation. You have, if I understand right, you haven't yet done your trial with NYK Shipping, right? That's planned for next year, is that correct?
That's correct. USEN has just started sharing data with us earlier this month, so we're very happy to kick those off. Those two proof of concepts were a result of Oceans of Opportunity, a competition in Singapore in coordination with the Singapore government, National University of Singapore, where we won 2 out of 5 proof of concepts awards.
And so, thanks. So what do you see, what kind of differences do you expect to see in terms of dealing with shipping as opposed to aviation cargo? And how are you adapting your models to cater for that? Can you just talk me through that?
Sure. Specifically with K-Line, for instance, the POC that they're most interested in is their roll trailers, the RoRos. They currently have about 1,200 of those around the world, and they're looking for solutions that will help them track those, as well as be able to send data in real time from those. So we are able, with a small sensor pack device that's connected to our global satellite network through our partner provider, be able to help them track all of that data and then visually verify the transfer process, which is what is so critical for them. It's less about damage in that case. It's more about visual record and being able to verify that a transfer and an exchange of ownership, in the sense that it's moved from one party to another or from one dock to a ship, for instance.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, thank you very much, Thomas. Can you just help me a little bit better understand where your unique competitive advantage lies and how sustainable it is? So I guess it's not the camera, it's in the software. Can you walk me a bit through?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's absolutely embedded. It's part of the software and the solution. The way that I would characterize what makes it truly unique is the combination that we're able to deploy. So computer vision exists, right? We're able to train models. However, one of the unique advantages for us in that category is the access to data. One of the primary conditions for a machine learning startup or a company to do well is their access to that data. We won an Innovation Engine Award with IATA, the global regulator for aviation and air cargo, in September, and that's opened up a whole new window of opportunity for us beyond what we were already doing for the past 2 years at Cheslap-Kok Hong Kong Airport here. But in terms of the combination, being able to couple that with a proprietary blockchain system, being able to put that together with the IoT devices that can be connected globally, presents the full solution, a full suite of services that's customized for industry, not for individual purposes. And that is a very powerful proposition so far that we found.
What's the total addressable market in the airline inspection industry?
Sure. So in terms of the immediate problem that we're trying to solve, there's the number put forward by IATA was a $475 million problem per year that airlines are footing the bill. The damage that gets inflicted onto aircraft by a misshapen ULD container, air cargo container, contributes to ground damage, which is an estimated $12 billion problem for the industry every year. In terms of our revenue and what we see in terms of that potential, so perhaps that's your question?
No, it was then comparing it to the shipping industry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and so actually, so shipping, just starting with refrigerated containers, there's at least a million containers in the world today for refrigerated containers, and those are our primary focus beyond what we're doing with K-Line and USense. And so from those, we can take a subscription fee per asset, as well as be able to share that data with the relevant parties, which can also carry license or subscription fees on top of that as well.
Thomas, I'm going to have to interrupt you there.
Similar to what we're doing with air cargo.
All right. Thank you, Thomas. We're out of time. But thank you very much, and thanks again to our captains. All right. Okay, well, a couple of things. Yes, first of all, thank you very much for attending today. We're not finished yet. We just need you to bear with us for a couple of minutes. We are going to send the judges off to deliberate for a few minutes. But before we do, can I just invite the judges to come and stand here? Because we're going to do a quick photo with the startups and the judges before we send you to your cave. And everyone else, if you could give a round of applause to the startups who took part today. Thank you. Right, if the judges could just stand in front of the stage for our socially distanced photo. All right, I'll get out of the way. And Jasper, if you can get the startups on the back screen. Hopefully they're all still with us. Fantastic. All right, hold on a second. Hello. Okay. We are going to send the judges away to their cave for 10 minutes just to deliberate on what they've seen. For our audience at home who are watching online, please can you feel free to scan, there's a QR code on the Splash 24/7 website and also on our LinkedIn pages. Feel free to scan that. That's our audience poll. And for our audience here, you will also see some QR codes which are scattered around or on the table over there. If you scan it, you can also cast your audience vote for who you think should be the winner of the Captain's Table 2020. Unfortunately, your vote doesn't count, but the judges' vote is final, but we're still interested to compare the audience's decision with the judges' decision. And we will be back here in about 10 minutes to make the announcement. And after that, for anyone else who's free, we'll have a drink afterwards to celebrate. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please ask you to take your seats? Please collect your wine glasses, top them up so we can raise a toast. And please find a seat. Pleased to announce that Thomas from Virtual Control has joined the room, one of our only startups. I'll show you two of our final spotlight videos, which are two startups focusing on optimizing the procurement in the shipping industry. So we're going to show you their two highlight videos now, and then the judges will come back to make the announcement. Okay, so if I can just ask everyone to take their seats, please.
Hello everyone, I'm Ravi, co-founder at FreightBro. FreightBro is a Shopify for freight forwarders across the world in our journey. Billions of cargo are transported on ocean on a daily basis. It is complex and it involves multiple parties. The primary mode of communication between these parties are either and Excel. Hello everyone, I'm Raghav, co-founder at FreightBro. FreightBro is a Shopify for freight forwarders across the world in our journey. Billions of cargo are transported on ocean on a daily basis. It is complex and it involves multiple parties. The primary mode of communication between these parties are either an Excel, email, or a telephonic communication. The freight forwarder, or typically called the logistics service provider, is supposed to be the coordinating agent between multiple parties. About 70% of the time of the freight forwarder is spent in managing this unstructured communication data into a structured format.
Guess what? We're still using Excel sheets and age-old ERP softwares. We make multiple phone calls for each order. It takes about 2 to 3 days to select a vendor. Then you have to deal with multiple vendors across geographies. There's no brand information available, no images, and there's no real-time tracking of orders. And most importantly, there's no real-time spending pattern available. How much money have you spent on what category of products on what ship is not available real-time? And therefore, ShipsKart is now a requirement. We made the process as easy as ordering from an Amazon-like platform. Here's a glimpse of an application which is available both on Android and iOS. What we've done, we've created an exclusive procurement platform which can be interfaced with your existing ERP software. For any place, wherever delivery is required, ShipsKart is a single point of contact. We spent a lot of time and energy on making the catalog accurate. You'll have updates real time, and then there is, most importantly, there is category-wise spending pattern available. We've been in operations since last 2 years, and we've done 800 plus orders with $5 million of sales till August. We intend to finish this year at $10 million. We've got the early validation from Forecastle and Betatron. Here's a glimpse of our prominent clients. I've always believed a company is as good as its team. Our core strength lies in the fact that all the co-founders and advisory board have sailing as well as management level experience. So the next time you have anything to be delivered on your vessel, please log on to ShipsKart.com. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody. Right, can I invite our captains to take their seats? I'm now going to just say a very quick thank you to everyone who is involved in the captain's table. It's not easy, to stream a live event and juggle all the technology in the various countries that we're streaming in for. So thank you very much to everyone who's helped, and our sponsors and our partners, and of course the startups. And then a big thank you to our captains here today who've given up their time to help us judge our competition. Can I please invite the captain's nominated representative to come up on the stage? And can I also invite Ms. Agnes Choi, who is the chairman of the Promotion and External Relations Committee of the Hong Kong Maritime and Port Board, who has kindly agreed to set the award on behalf of the startups, and also to present the award, depending who wins. So Agnes and Captain, please come to the stage. All right, just very quickly to remind everyone what's at stake. So the winning startup will get $20,000 cash prize. Lloyd's Register, who's a partner of ours and has been for the last 2 years, is going to promote the winner via their own network with support with introductions and mentorship support. We also have leadership coaching from Innerport. Inmarsat and AXS Marine have offered to provide data support and mentorship. And last but not least, the invaluable quarterly coaching sessions from Chris O'Callaghan of HFW Consulting, which last year's winner Nidhi from Forecastle described as invaluable. So there's a really good support ecosystem for the winning startup. So I will hand over to Shah.
Thank you, Tabitha. So first of all, thank you to all of the startups today that presented. So on behalf of my fellow captains, we'd all like to say a big thank you. Some really great innovation being demonstrated today. It was a tough call, but on balance, we chose a business that we first of all felt addressed a real issue in our industry that has come about this year. They've made fantastic progress in a small amount of time, building a scalable business model, and so the winner from my fellow captains and myself is Greywing.
Right, can we get Greywing onto the screen, Nick? Nick, hopefully you heard the announcement and know you are in fact the winner of the Captain's Table 2020. Would you like to say a few words?
Hey guys, yeah, sorry, I didn't realize you could hear me. I'm hugely humbled actually. And you know, my co-founder Rishi is not on this call, so you can't see him. But he is the guy that's been working all night, you know, been working 6 days a week to make this happen. And, you know, all day. And, you know, then I want to thank Bjorn Sprotter from OSM, who, you know, opened a random email from someone that he didn't know, passed it on to his crewing team in Cyprus. And, you know, that led to a long-term relationship. And then I want to, you know, thank Julia, our contact at OSM, who's just been the most incredible person to help us, you know, continue to iterate this product and connect her to her team. And then Shivasin Dennis at Hafnia. You know, some of the feedback that we've got from the Hafnia team has been, you know, I mean, just today, you know, I was speaking to them and, you know, it's incredible. And then finally, you know, Daniel, you know, from TB Marine in Hamburg, you know, thanks for coming on board. It's, you know, it's really been a pleasure, and I'm, you know, grateful to be doing this. And I hope that, you know, if something else comes up in the future, or if there's another crisis, that, you know, we can be there, we can connect data, and we can help solve it. And I'll actually stop and just tell you a little story. I had a call today with a crew manager at 2 p.m. And, you know, we built Semaphore, which is, you know, designed to instantly automate crew communication. And they had a sick crew member, critically ill crew member on board a vessel. And we just deployed Semaphore about a week ago. And, you know, he used it to reach out to every port agent down the east coast of Africa in, you know, just a couple of minutes. And what that meant was that within 24 hours, they had a solution to get that guy ashore and get him the Roll 3 medical treatment that he needed. And, you know, it's just such a pleasure to see this impact coming from something that, you know, when we began, we just thought we were, you know, we just didn't know what we were doing. But yeah, thank you guys. It's humbling, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Nick, and thank you. All right, we're going to do a very odd photo shoot here. We're going to ask Agnes if you could kindly just stand there with Nick and present the trophy to him virtually. We'll get a quick photo. And Nick, we will get this to you via courier very soon, okay?
Thank you.
All right, 1, 2, 3. This is the new normal, apparently. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to everyone who watched online, and we hope to see you again for Captain's Table next year. Thank you very much. Okay, we're not live, right? Okay, all right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Quick announcement. The Marshall Islands Registry kindly sponsoring a couple of drinks on the rooftop. Big open area space. Again, socially distanced drink. But please join us up on the roof for a quick toast. Thank you.
We're not live. Thanks, everyone. Well done all. Congratulations, Nick. I